You grab your bag before you leave the house. Keys, phone, wallet, maybe a water bottle. You do it without thinking. It takes less than 3 seconds. But the object hanging off your shoulder right now might be older than fire, older than the spear, older than almost anything else your ancestors ever made. And the real answer of what came first is far stranger than you've been told. For over 100 years, the story of human invention started the same way. A sharpened rock, a wooden spear, a hunter crouched low in tall grass, chasing meat across an open plain. That image is everywhere. It's in museum dioramas. It's in documentaries narrated in deep, dramatic voices. It's in the textbook drawings of shirtless men hurling spears at woolly mammoths. Man the hunter, the story goes, invented everything. He invented the tool. He invented the weapon. He invented civilization itself, one kill at a time. It's a good story. It's dramatic. It's got blood and danger and triumph in it. There's just one problem. It's probably incomplete, because that story never answers a much simpler question. Once you kill something or pick something or dig something out of the ground, what do you do with it next? Your hands are full. You can't carry a baby and a spear and a fistful of berries at the same time. Something has to give. So what if the very first piece of human technology wasn't a weapon at all? What if it was a bag? In 1975, an anthropologist named Sally Slocum published an essay that quietly picked apart the entire man the hunter narrative. She pointed out something almost embarrassingly obvious. Most of the calories early humans actually ate didn't come from dramatic kills. They came from steady, unglamorous gathering. Nuts, roots, insects, small game. Day after day, that's what filled bellies and kept groups alive through lean season. Hunting was real, but it was rare, risky, and often unsuccessful. Gathering was constant. And gathering has a problem that hunting doesn't. You need somewhere to put things. A few years later, in 1979, another researcher named Elizabeth Fisher pushed the idea even further. In her book on the origins of human technology, she proposed something radical for the time. Before the spear, before the axe, before any weapon sharp enough to kill, early humans likely needed something to carry their food, their tools, and their infants across long distances. Not a weapon, a container, a sling made of animal hide, a net woven from plant fiber, something soft, flexible, and almost invisible in the archaeological record, because cloth and hide rot away in a few decades. Stone does not. That's the trap, isn't it? We think the spear came first because the spear is what survived, not because it's what mattered most. For a long time, that idea stayed a hypothesis, a clever guess with no physical proof to back it up. Then, in the 1990s, an archaeologist named Olga Soffer began examining scraps of hardened clay from a site in the Czech Republic called Dolní Věstonice, roughly 26,000 years old. Pressed into the surface of that clay were faint impressions. Not footprints, not tool marks, woven patterns. The unmistakable texture of knotted plant fiber, net-like and deliberate. Someone had been weaving cordage and textiles long before anyone thought humans had the skill or the need to do so. The tools themselves had rotted away thousands of years earlier. Only their shadow remained, pressed accidentally into mud that happened to bake hard and survive. So the evidence was there all along. It just wasn't made of stone, and stone is what archaeologists had spent a century learning to look for. Compare that to how other primates handle objects. A chimpanzee can crack nuts with a stone hammer. A Capuchin monkey can carry a rock to a favorite anvil site and use it again and again. But watch closely, and you'll notice something. They can only carry one thing at a time, and only for as long as their hands are free to hold it. The moment their hands are needed for something else, walking on all fours, climbing, fleeing a predator, the tool gets dropped. Object use in most of the animal kingdom is temporary. It exists only in the instant a hand is holding it. Humans broke that rule. And the thing that broke it wasn't a smarter brain figuring out how to sharpen a rock. It was a piece of hide that let a hand let go of something without losing it. Here's where the story gets even stranger. Human babies are, biologically speaking, a bit of a disaster. Compare a human newborn to a baby chimpanzee. A baby chimp can grip its mother's fur within hours of being born. It rides along, hands free, while she forages through the forest canopy. A human baby can do almost nothing. No fur to grip, no strength to hold on, weak neck muscles, total dependence for months, sometimes years. Why would evolution do that to us? The primatologist and evolutionary anthropologist Sarah Blaffer Hrdy has spent decades studying exactly this puzzle. Her research points to something called cooperative breeding. Human infants survived not because one mother could handle everything alone, but because a whole network of caregivers, other mothers, grandmothers, older siblings, shared the load. But even with that help, someone still had to physically hold a helpless baby for hours a day while also finding food. 2 hands, 1 baby, no fur to grip. So what do? The anthropologist Kristen Hawkes offers one piece of this puzzle from a different angle. Her research on what's known as the grandmother hypothesis suggests that older women, past their own childbearing years, became crucial providers for their grandchildren, freeing mothers to forage more efficiently and wean infants earlier. But even a village of devoted grandmothers runs into the same physical wall. Somebody's arms are eventually full. Somebody still needs 2 free hands to dig a root out of hard-packed earth, or to climb for fruit, or to fend off a threat. Cooperative caregiving bought early humans time. It didn't solve the basic mechanical problem of the human body only having 1 pair of hands. You build something to hold the baby for you. A loop of hide slung across the chest. A woven net hung from the shoulders. Something that turns 2 full hands into 2 free hands. Suddenly a mother can climb, dig, gather, and walk for miles, and her infant comes along safely, hands-free, close to her heartbeat. That's not a small convenience. That is, quite possibly, the invention that let an unusually helpless species survive its own biology long enough to become us. Now think about what that tool actually makes possible. Once you can carry a baby without using your hands, you can carry other things too. Food for later instead of eating it on the spot. Water, firewood, materials for tools you haven't made yet. A gathering trip stops being a single meal and starts being a supply run. You can bring surplus back to a group. You can share it. You can plan around it. An entire slower, steadier, more cooperative way of living opens up, built not on the drama of the kill, but on the quiet logistics of carrying. The writer Ursula K. Le Guin, drawing directly on Fisher's idea, once described this as a truer origin story for human culture than the one we're usually told. Not the spear that struck outward, but the container that gathered inward. Not conquest, but collection. It's a strange reframing when you sit with it. We tend to picture progress as sharp, aggressive, forward-moving, a blade, an attack. But the object that may have done more to keep our species alive was soft, round, and made to hold things close. Here's the twist that should really stop you. The spear didn't disappear from this story. It still mattered, eventually, enormously. But a spear is only useful to a group that can already carry, store, and share what it catches. Without a way to transport a kill back to camp, back to the young, the elderly, the injured who couldn't hunt that day, a dead animal in the grass is just meat rotting in the sun within hours. The weapon needed the bag long before the bag needed the weapon, which raises an uncomfortable question about how this story got told in the first place. For most of the 20th century, the scientists writing these origin stories were overwhelmingly imagining a world that looked like their own. One where dramatic, solitary male action explained everything, and quiet, cooperative, often female-coded labor explained nothing. Carrying, weaving, gathering, caretaking. None of it photographed well next to a man with a spear, so it simply didn't make it into the diagrams. Not because the evidence wasn't there, because nobody thought to go looking for it. It took researchers willing to ask a different question to notice what had been sitting in the record the whole time, pressed into hardened clay, hiding in the plain math of who actually fed a hunter-gatherer band on any given ordinary day. The spear was easy to imagine because it fit an existing idea of what invention was supposed to look like. A point, sharp, aggressive, decisive. The bag was harder to imagine, not because it was more complicated, but because it looked too much like something you'd overlook in your own daily life without a second thought. Now look down at your own bag again. The tote on your shoulder, the backpack you sling on before work, the diaper bag, the crossbody purse, the reusable sack you keep folded in your car for the grocery store. Even the hospital bag packed and waiting by the door before a baby is born carries an echo of this. A bag prepared to carry a newborn out into the world the same way one might have carried it 200,000 years ago. You are performing a gesture that may be older than language itself. A loop of material worn across the body, freeing your hands so you can carry what matters while you keep moving through the world. It doesn't feel like technology. It feels like nothing. That's exactly the point. The most important inventions rarely look dramatic while they're happening. They don't leave a sharpened edge behind for someone to dig up 10,000 years later. They leave something quieter, a pattern of behavior, a way of moving through the world with your hands free and your child close. A habit so deeply woven into daily life that it becomes invisible, right up until someone finally stops and asks where it came from. So the next time you grab your bag on the way out the door, notice it. Really notice it. That small, ordinary motion connects you to a lineage stretching back further than fire, further than the wheel, further than almost any tool your ancestors ever chipped from stone. Not a weapon, not a spear point gleaming under museum glass. Just something to hold what mattered, so 2 hands could finally be free.